It just got way worse as a shocking new report has dropped from John Heyman revealing some wild details surrounding Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and his future in Toronto. And following Vladdy coming out and saying that he wants no distractions for his team and the fan base surrounding his future contract, he has come out and done some very interesting things. We're going to break down this new report and discuss why it has Jays fans and just everybody alike a little bit confused and infuriated. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. But before we get into it, if you're part of the 71% who are not subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. Your guys' support has been absolutely unbelievable. And again, the Jays play their second spring training game this afternoon. We'll keep you up to date with that. We should have a post-game video for you. I should have a post-game video for you after that game. But ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to go over today. Now, John Heyman dropped an article, and it is not one that Jays fans wanted to see. And we were hoping, following a big win yesterday in the spring training games, again, wins don't actually matter, but we're seeing Vladdy get hits, Aurelio Martinez hit home runs. Amidst all that, we saw this from John Heyman. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. tells the Post he loves Canada and the Jays, but is open to all 30 teams, even the Yankees, but explains the two reasons he used to not like the Yankees. So we have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the middle of what is going to be a crucial year for this Toronto Blue Jays team and himself as it pertains to a payday, coming out and saying and speaking to the New York Post and just revealing a bunch of information. And Jays fans are pretty furious about this. I don't know if furious is the word. I'm a little bit annoyed, I guess. Like, he came out, we know Vladdy said he wants no distractions. That's why he set the February 18th deadline surrounding his extension, because he wanted no distractions. He doesn't want anybody on his team to be distracted by it. He doesn't want to be asked about his contract extension because guess what? Right now, he's focused on winning. And I have a bunch of different excerpts from the article. But I want to start with this, right? We also have some stuff from Schneider. So you can see this here. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. loves Canada and especially the Jays, but for his upcoming free agency, he's the next winter's clear number one guy, and that even includes the Yankees, who he's willing to go to. Guerrero is a great fit for any big market team, but he's also a family guy, so I'm not convinced that the Yankees, Yankees' chances would be. Perp, not all the issue related to the Yankees' treatment of his dad, Guerrero confirmed to the Post. And let's not forget, this just dropped late last night. I mean, Guerrero was talking to the New York Post, knowing an article is going to be posted, not only knowing an article is going to be posted, about his future team, who it will be, when the season hasn't even started. This isn't like it's towards the end of the season, he's starting to think about free agency. This season hasn't even started yet. He has a full year left on a contract with the Jays, and the fact this is coming out is absolutely wild. And the reason he didn't want to go to the Yankees, and because he said the last thing he'd ever do is go to the Yankees a couple years ago, is because of the way that the Yankees treated his dad, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Sr. Why is this why is this coming out now? If Vladdy didn't want any distractions, and the reason he set the date and didn't, all these different things was because he didn't want any distractions, why on earth is he coming out and speaking to the media about it? And the New York Post, nonetheless. And a few excerpts here. He said, now we're going to start with the positive because there's a couple more things that I want to dive into, but we're going to start with the positive. There's also an article from Shai Davidi here, but he said within the article, I would love to be here, talking about Canada. I want to play my whole career here with the Jays. Canada is like my second home. I really want to stay here, but it's a business at the end of the day. So we're going to start with the positives. Now, this is a good thing to come out of this article is that, again, he has kind of echoed this sentiment that he wants to be here. He would love to be here, all these different things. The problem is the amount of money rumored that he was asking for is over $550 million, right? And that's the number that he wanted and would have accepted from the Toronto Blue Jays. So that way he could come out and publicly say that, hey, I'm fine staying I wanted to be with the Toronto Blue Jays. I gave them a number. They weren't close to my number. And it's because according to rumors and in theory, he asked for a number that was ridiculous. And then he knew Ross Atkins in the front office was never going to be able to match, right? Because you're not going to give Vladdy 585 after, a year before last, he was a below average, player, an average hitter, I guess, not a below average player necessarily, 789 OPS with, bad defense, right? So within all that, all these things have happened. He does want to be here. And I do think ultimately the Jays can get a deal done after this season. But it is a little bit wild. And they asked, and this, we're going to be dealing with this all season long, whether that be when he hits a home run, whether that be articles already dropping from Bob Nightingale, even John Heyman ranking the top 10 most likely teams to give Vladdy. It's going to be absolutely brutal, right? It's going to be annoying. However, you can see this here. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., when asked if the Yankees have a shot at him in free agency, every team, all 30 teams, are going to have the opportunity to sit down with me and talk to me. I'm okay with everything. It's in the past. And this lit Jay's Twitter on fire. It lit him on fire because now we're talking about a guy in Vladimir Guerrero Jr. who about a month before the regular season starting, and the most important season in recent memory for the Toronto Blue Jays, and then one of the most important seasons in recent memory for Vladdy as it pertains, like I mentioned earlier, to his contract. It's his contract year. He's coming out and doing what Juan Soto did, but at the end of the season. Juan Soto, of course, after the year with the Yankees and they lost in the World Series last year, said, I'm going to be speaking with all 30 teams. Vladdy is doing this before the season even starts, which means, A, you can basically throw a contract extension out the window prior to the end of the season, and B, he is just making it known that every team has the opportunity, all these different things to get Vladdy. His loyalty to Toronto, although it seems on the surface level that he wants to be in Toronto, all these different things, he really didn't give the Jays, like, yes, the Jays could have extended him in the past. And I'm not saying Vladdy's necessarily like, not the enemy here, and he's not the victim, but it's a very interesting thing, right? Because at this point, you have, I think both sides are at fault a little bit. I don't know why Vladdy, I mean, he can do whatever he wants, obviously. It's an interesting thing to come out and say, though, that you're going to try to keep this as private as possible, not stir anything up, and then be doing these interviews where you're saying all 30 teams are going to have an opportunity to sit down with me when you are literally playing with your teammates every day. It's very odd. Stuff like this isn't going to earn you a lot of favor in Toronto, not wanting to be a distraction and whatnot. And that's kind of the sentiment that most Jays fans have now. I'm fine with him publicly saying that he's fine with all 30 teams, whatever. But the fact that you came out and he said, and you go ahead and say that you don't want to be a distraction to this team, and you don't want to be a distraction to your teammates or anything like that, because this is a contract year and it was a big thing. So you set your deadline. Then to come out and say all these things and to speak directly to the New York Post and just the Post in general, it is extremely intriguing, ladies and gentlemen, and not something that I'm super I mean, obviously, I'm okay with him doing it, but it's just very odd. And let me know down below what your thought is now. Like, do you think Vladdy's going a bit out of his way to be a bit ridiculous? Do you think it doesn't make sense for him to say that he doesn't want to be a distraction and then come out and, be exactly that, a distraction? It's very interesting. I tried a video dropped an article 3 years ago. The Jays were in a similar spot with Judge. The Blue Jays now face with Vladdy. The way the superstar slugger and the Yanks handle that walker can be a model for navigating what's ahead. And he basically goes on to say, and this is from Aaron Boone, I remember when we were leaving at Steinbrenner Field, getting on the buses to head up north. It was kind of a last-ditch effort, and they didn't come to an agreement. Just knowing Aaron, I never thought it would become an issue, and obviously it didn't. He went out, won the MVP, had the season, he didn't, came back. And now, of course, it's interesting. They are very similar. They're speaking about it on the broadcast yesterday. He says here, that was, I feel like, the story being in and Ohtani, obviously, and finishing second for whatever it is. Boone said of the Blue Jays, new ads of Jeff Hoffman, Max Scherzer, and, of course, Santander. The last several years, the times in the Blue Jays have been at their best offensively. They also missed out on that lefty a little bit, so it made some really dangerous situations a little easier to navigate at the back end of games. Santander gives them real balance. Obviously, we know Bichette's capable of coming off a tough year. Santander was a big backup, and the Yankees expect them to be formidable. And it's interesting. Look at some of the Fangraphs playoff odds. Yankees 87 wins, Boston 85, Baltimore 83, Toronto 82, and Tampa 81. It is neck and neck. I mean, there's a world where the Jays come out and win the AL East, as crazy as it sounds, but it is going to be absolutely ridiculous. And you can see here from Aaron Boone, no one really knows who's going to win this division. So let me know down below what your thoughts are. Of course, today we have Yaro Rodriguez and Jake Bloss. Hopefully we get some more regulars, maybe see Santander in there a little bit. But, it just got way worse. It got more confusing. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is he's not earning a lot of favor among fans. But let me know what side of the fence you're on. I know some people aren't really still going to blame the front office. I still think the front office has a ton of blame to take here. They didn't get the extension done earlier, all these different things. But it seems like Vladdy just was asking for a ridiculous amount over this past couple weeks, and now is coming out and telling other teams telling other media that he wants to be not necessarily elsewhere, but that he's open to it. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. Cheers.